The battle that should have killed them both. Smoke covered the sky. The ground was broken. Fire burned in every corner of the battlefield. Leo, a human soldier, lay behind a destroyed wall. His armor was scratched. Blood ran down his arm. He was alone. He looked around. His team was gone. Killed or captured. He had lost contact with command. His radio made only static. Across the field, someone moved. Leo raised his weapon. Slowly, carefully. A tall figure limped forward. Not human. Her skin was a shade of silver blue. Sharp horns curved back from her head. Her armor was dark and dented. She held a glowing blade, but it flickered. Weak. She was an alien warrior. Leo had seen her kind before. Dangerous. Strong. Proud. They were called the Drawn. His orders were clear. Shoot on sight. But something stopped him. The alien fell to one knee. She tried to stand again, but failed. Blood, dark green, dripped from her side. She looked up. Their eyes met. For a moment, nothing moved. Leo's finger tightened on the trigger. He could shoot her now. End it. But something in her eyes made him pause. She wasn't angry. She wasn't scared. She was tired. And she was ready to die. Leo slowly lowered his weapon. The alien blinked, confused. He pulled out a small water pouch from his side bag and tossed it toward her. She stared at it like it was a weapon. Leo spoke, his voice calm. "Drink it. You'll die without water." The alien didn't move. "Come on," Leo said again. "It's not poison." Slowly, the warrior reached out. Her hand shook as she picked up the pouch. She drank. It was silent for a long time. Then she looked at him again. Her voice was deep but soft. "You did not kill me." Leo nodded. "You didn't kill me either." "I am your enemy," she said. "Maybe," Leo replied. "But right now, we're both just trying to stay alive." She lowered her blade and sat on the ground. She leaned against a rock, breathing hard. She looked weak, but still proud. Leo sat across from her, keeping a safe distance. "What's your name?" he asked. She looked surprised. No human had ever asked before. "I am Shari of House Veldranek," she said. "Warrior born, second blade of the Sand Claw." "That's a long name," Leo smiled. "I'm just Leo." She gave a small nod. "You showed me mercy, Leo." Leo shrugged. "Maybe I'm just tired of killing." Shari was silent. Then she said something that confused Leo. "In my people's law, when one enemy shows true mercy, a warrior must return the life given." Leo frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means," she said, "my life is now yours, until I repay the gift." Before Leo could answer, a loud sound shook the ground. A ship, Drawn forces, was approaching. Shari stood up, wobbling. "They will kill you if they find you," she said. "They do not accept mercy." "What about you?" Leo asked. She looked at him with steel in her eyes. "I will protect you. You'd fight your own people." "I must," she said. "My life is yours now." Leo stood too. He didn't know what to say. Another explosion. Closer this time. "We need to move," he said. Shari nodded. Leo took one last look at the battlefield. Hours ago, it was full of screams and death. Now something strange was happening. Two enemies were running, not to fight, but to survive. And somewhere in his chest, Leo felt something shift. Maybe war wasn't always about killing. Maybe, sometimes, it was about what you chose not to destroy. The warrior's promise. The cold wind sliced through the dark corridor of the ruined facility. In the dim light of flickering lamps, Leo and Shari moved carefully, their breaths echoing in the silent passage. They had barely escaped the battle, and now danger lurked around every corner. In the opening minutes, the tension was high. As Leo walked ahead, alert and cautious, a sharp metallic sound rang out behind him. A human drone, armed with a deadly laser, suddenly appeared at the end of the corridor. The beam was trained on Leo, and in that split second, time seemed to slow. Before Leo could react, a shadow leaked between him and the beam. Shari. Her swift, graceful movement deflected the shot. The laser beam whizzed past, narrowly missing her shoulder. Leo watched, stunned, as the alien warrior dropped low and rolled to the side, her body shielding his. In those few heartbeats, Leo felt a rush of warmth and confusion. He had never seen an enemy risk her life for him. The drone's sensors clicked and beeped, recalculating its target. With a final burst, it turned and sped away. Silence fell over the corridor, heavy and expectant. Leo's heart pounded as he rushed to Shari's side. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his voice trembling with concern. Shari slowly sat up, her eyes burning with fierce determination. "I will be fine," she replied, her voice steady despite the pain. "What matters is that you are safe." Her words echoed in the quiet, and Leo felt both grateful and puzzled. Earlier, on the battlefield, she had accepted his water and made a strange vow. Now, she risked everything for him. They moved deeper into the abandoned structure, leaving behind the remnants of a war that neither truly wanted. Every step was a step into the unknown, and every shadow could hide another threat. As they turned a corner, Shari paused. Her ears caught distant voices, footsteps, murmurs. She pressed her hand against Leo's arm and signaled him to stop. They hid behind a pile of rubble as two human soldiers passed by. The soldiers argued in low voices about orders and supplies. Leo listened, realizing that even among his own people, fear and mistrust were everywhere. The lines between friend and foe were blurred. Once the soldiers had moved on, Leo whispered, "Why did you help me? You are one of them, or so I thought." Shari looked into his eyes. "My people have taught me that mercy is stronger than hate. When you showed me kindness on the battlefield, you did more than save my life. You changed my path." Her voice was soft, yet every word carried the weight of her belief. "Now, in my culture, when an enemy shows mercy, it creates a bond. I promised that I would repay the gift of life with loyalty. I am here to protect you because you have given me hope." The simple truth of her words made Leo's mind race. In the chaos of war, trust was a rare treasure. He had been taught to fight without mercy, to see only the enemy. But now he was standing next to someone who had risked everything for him. A strange, unfamiliar feeling began to grow, a promise of friendship and a chance for peace. They continued their journey, stepping carefully over broken tiles and shattered glass. The facility was a maze of dark halls and secret rooms. Every door held a potential trap, every corner a hidden danger. Yet the two pressed on together. As they reached a large chamber filled with old control panels and dusty screens, Shari stopped. "This room," she said, "was once a command center. It will help us send a signal to my people. They must hear our side of the story before more blood is shed." Leo nodded. "I trust you, Shari, but how can we be sure that your people will listen?" She took a deep breath. "In my culture, there is a trial. A warrior who shows mercy is tested. I have been marked by that trial, and my people know it. They say when a warrior spares an enemy, she holds the power to change fate. I must now prove that promise by keeping you safe and by helping end this war." The room vibrated with the sound of distant machinery as Shari worked on the control panel. Leo watched her hands move with precision and care. He thought about the day on the battlefield, the moment when he lowered his weapon, and the strange bond that had been forged in silence. Now, in this hidden command center, that bond was growing stronger with every heartbeat. A sudden alert on the screen made them both jump. The control panel flashed an urgent message. Enemy forces were moving quickly towards the facility. The time to send the signal was short. Shari's eyes narrowed with resolve. "We must act now," she said firmly. Leo felt his pulse race. "What do we need to do?" Shari explained, I must send a message of peace and a call for help to both my people and yours. But to do that, I need to access the main system. It is dangerous, as enemy fighters might break in any moment. Outside, the sound of approaching footsteps grew louder. Every second counted. Leo helped secure the door while Shari connected wires to the old console. Her fingers trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the gravity of the task. In those moments, Leo saw her not as an enemy, but as a brave soul fighting for a better future. As the signal began to transmit, the door burst open. A squad of human soldiers rushed in, weapons drawn. Their eyes were hard, and their faces betrayed confusion and anger. Stand down, one of them shouted. In that instant, Shari stepped in front of Leo, raising her hand. I promise I will not harm you, she said clearly. I only wish to save lives. Let us be your friends rather than foes. For a long, breathless moment, no one moved. Then the lead soldier lowered his weapon slightly. You, he said, staring at Shari, why do you risk your life for him? Her reply was calm and measured. Because in my people's law, mercy is the strongest force. I swore loyalty when life was given to me by an enemy. Now, I must keep that promise. The tension in the room was thick. Leo could feel the eyes of every soldier on them. It was a moment of truth, a test of honor, trust, and the very idea of mercy. Finally, the soldier nodded. We will listen, he said, but if you cause harm, we will not hesitate. Shari and Leo exchanged a look. They both knew the road ahead was fraught with danger, but also that a new hope had been kindled. The signal continued to beam into space, carrying their plea for peace. And in that moment, as enemy and friend met in the shadow of war, a promise was born. A promise that even in the darkest times, mercy could light the way. He called her friend, and the galaxy changed. The blast doors creaked open slowly. Shari stood beside Leo, her tall form tense, her eyes fixed on the dozen human soldiers now pointing weapons at them. Leo raised both hands. Wait, don't shoot. She's with me. The soldiers hesitated. Their fingers stayed near the triggers, but the fear in their eyes was mixed with confusion. She's a drawn, one soldier shouted. She's the reason half our base is gone. Leo stepped forward, shielding Shari with his body. I said she's with me. She saved my life. Twice. The silence was sharp and thick. Then a voice came through the radio behind the squad. Bring them in, both of them. Alive. 5 hours later, Leo sat in a cold metal chair, his wrists locked in restraints. He was in a dark holding room inside a military base orbiting the war zone. The walls were gray. A camera blinked in the corner. He didn't know where Shari was, and that made his stomach twist with worry. The door opened. A high-ranking officer, Colonel Dean, entered the room with a hard expression. Leo Carter, he said coldly, you're a decorated soldier. You've served 5 years on the front lines, and now you return, protecting an enemy. Leo met the man's eyes. She's not just an enemy. She's a person. Colonel Dean raised an eyebrow. You know how many people she's probably killed. And how many have we killed? Leo shot back. She had every chance to kill me. But she didn't. I gave her water. She gave me her loyalty. She saved me again and again. We're alive because we trusted each other. The colonel scoffed. You call that trust? You call her your what ally? Leo paused. He looked at his own hands, still bruised from the journey. Then he looked up and said clearly, I call her my friend. Those words hung in the room like lightning. My friend. 2 words that shook the air, simple and dangerous. Across the base, in a sealed observation chamber, Shari was alone. Chains wrapped around her wrists and ankles. Armed guards watched her like a monster in a cage. Yet her posture was proud. She didn't beg. She didn't threaten. She waited. After what felt like forever, the door hissed open. A woman in a clean lab coat entered. Her name tag read, Dr. Evans, alien communications specialist. She walked slowly to Shari, cautious but curious. "I'm here to ask questions," Dr. Evans said carefully. Shari tilted her head. "Ask. Why did you protect the human soldier?" Shari's voice was low and calm. "Because he offered me life when he could have given me death. Because I saw in him a light. Your people do not understand what mercy means to mine. Mercy is not weakness. Mercy is power." Dr. Evans watched her closely. "You would risk everything for him." Shari nodded. "I already have." Just then, the screen behind Dr. Evans blinked on. A camera feed showed Leo, still in his holding cell, speaking. "He didn't run," Shari said softly. "Even when others turned, he stayed. That is a warrior." Dr. Evans studied her for a moment longer. Then she whispered, "He called you friend." Shari looked down, then smiled quietly. "Then I am honored." Elsewhere, the video of Shari saving Leo in the tunnel, her deflecting the drone shot, was now being reviewed by top military leaders. A junior tech officer had leaked it to a private feed, and it had already started to spread. People were watching it, over and over again. An alien warrior, trained from birth to destroy humans, protecting one like he was her own. A new discussion had begun. What if the Drawn weren't all monsters? 2 days later, Leo was released from the cell, but not as a free man. He had been reassigned to a new group called Project Peacefire. It was a quiet experiment ordered by High Command. Its mission was simple: find out if there could be peace with the enemy, starting with 1 human and 1 alien. Leo stepped into the new chamber where Shari was being held. The guards moved aside as he entered. She turned. When she saw him, her eyes softened. He smiled. "Took them long enough." Shari stood and walked toward him. "Are you well?" "I'm fine," he said. "Better now." They stood close. The tension faded, replaced with quiet strength. Shari looked at him carefully. "They still do not trust me." Leo nodded. "I know, but I do." She raised her hand slowly, not in attack, but in respect. In her culture, it was a warrior's salute to an equal. Leo hesitated, then mirrored the motion. They touched palms, human to alien, flesh to scaled skin. The room fell silent. 2 sides of a long war had just met halfway. Outside the room, Dr. Evans watched through the glass, tears rising in her eyes. "It's working," she whispered. "It's really working." But not everyone was happy. In a dark part of the station, a man watched the same footage and clenched his fists. "Traitors," he muttered. "Both of them." He was part of something darker, a secret group that didn't want peace. They wanted the war to continue, and would do anything to stop this new friendship from spreading. Back inside the chamber, Shari spoke quietly. "They do not understand yet, but one day they will." Leo nodded. "We'll make them." "Together?" she asked. He smiled. "Together." Final lines. He had called her friend, and the galaxy was listening. The escape from human hands. The silence was sharp. Shari stood alone in her new room, no longer a prison, but not free either. The walls were glass, clear so the humans could watch her every move. A dozen eyes followed her every step through cameras and screens. She knew what this was. It wasn't trust. It was fear wearing a polite face. They called it Project Peacefire, but to her, it felt like a cage. Even Leo, her only true connection in this world, was kept away for long hours. Meetings, tests, endless questions, but no one asked how she felt. No one asked what it was like to be treated as both a monster and a tool. Until one night, something changed. Elsewhere in the base, Leo sat at a table across from Colonel Dean again. His body was tired. His eyes had dark circles under them. "You're putting her under too much pressure," Leo said. "She's not a machine. She saved my life. I owe her respect." Dean sipped his coffee without emotion. She's an alien. She's part of the enemy. You're too close to this, Leo. I'm supposed to be close. Leo snapped. That's the whole point of the project, isn't it? To see if peace is possible. Then let me do it my way. Dean leaned forward. Peace is one thing. Giving her access to sensitive areas, to our systems. She hasn't even asked for that. But she could. Leo stood. You're afraid of the wrong thing. It's not her you should be worried about. It's the people here who want this to fail. Dean didn't reply. That night, alarms went off. Silent ones, only seen by security staff and top officials. A coded signal had been received from a secret channel, unauthorized. The computers called it a drawn beacon, and it came from Sherry's room. Within minutes, soldiers moved down the halls. Guns, armor, orders to take her out, not question her. In the command room, a whisper traveled like lightning. She's calling her people. But it wasn't true. Inside the room, Shari was meditating. Her eyes were closed, body still. Her mind wandered through ancient drawn chants, trying to keep calm in this place of bright lights and fake smiles. Suddenly, the door hissed. Her eyes opened. She knew that sound. Not normal. Too sharp. Too fast. She moved. A second later, 3 soldiers rushed in, weapons raised, fingers ready to shoot. Down. On the ground. Now, Shari didn't fight. She raised her hands. Calmly. I did not send a signal, she said clearly. One of the soldiers stepped forward. We don't care. She stared into his helmet. Then you are not here for answers. No, the soldier growled. We're here to clean up a mistake. He raised his rifle to her head. Elsewhere, Leo was walking back to his room when a red warning flashed on the screen. Containment breach. Subject 004. Drawn. Leo's stomach dropped. Without thinking, he ran. His ID badge got him past the guards, down the halls, through the locked sectors. When he reached the glass-walled room, he saw soldiers surrounding Shari, weapons aimed. And Shari, standing tall, hands still up, not fighting back. Leo slammed his fist on the emergency panel. Stop. They didn't turn. He pulled a weapon from a nearby cabinet, not to shoot, but to get attention. He fired at the ceiling. Bang. Everyone froze. Back away from her, Leo shouted. One soldier turned. She called her people. She's a threat. She didn't, Leo said. I trust her. She's tricking you. Back. Away. His voice cracked like a whip. The soldiers slowly lowered their weapons, unsure. Shari looked at Leo. You came. Always, he said. Later, in the control room, the truth came out. A secret team inside the base had faked the signal. A setup to frame Shari. The data was clear. Colonel Dean looked at the files, silent. We found the device in Sector 12. An officer said. Not in her room. Dean sighed. So she was telling the truth. Leo looked at him coldly. You almost killed her. Dean nodded. You were right. Someone is trying to break this peace. That night, Leo visited Shari again. She sat quietly, but her eyes were sharper than before. I would have died, she said. I know, Leo said. And I did not lift my weapon, even though I could have. I still chose peace. He nodded. I did it for you. Leo sat beside her. I know. She turned to him. But now I understand something else. What? They do not want peace, Leo. Not all of them. He nodded. I know that too. Then we must protect each other, not just from war, but from them. Leo looked at her, eyes full of fire. Then we escape. We get out. Together. Shari tilted her head. Escape? You said your people follow honor, right? Yes. Then maybe it's time they see the truth with their own eyes. The blood oath. The stars outside the stolen shuttle looked peaceful. But inside the small, humming craft, tension crackled like static. Shari sat in silence, her sharp eyes fixed on the blinking lights of the navigation screen. Leo sat across from her, wiping sweat from his forehead. His hands shook, not from fear, from what was coming. They were heading into drawn space, the place where no human had ever returned from alive. Leo took a breath. "You sure they won't shoot us down?" Shari answered without looking at him. "No, I am not sure." Leo blinked. Comforting. Shari finally turned to face him. "You are entering a world where mercy is rare and trust is a myth. I have broken many laws to bring you here. You're not exactly following the rules," Leo said with a small smile. Shari's face remained serious. "You joke. But if we fail, we die." Leo leaned forward. "Then let's not fail." As they crossed the border into drawn territory, their ship was instantly caught in a tractor beam. A giant warship, shaped like a dark crescent moon, pulled them in. The drawn did not ask for names, did not give warnings. They simply took. Inside the drawn warship, heavy footsteps echoed as armored guards marched Leo and Shari through dark stone corridors lit by red lights. The air smelled like ash and metal. Leo's hands were tied. Shari walked beside him, not as a prisoner, but not exactly free either. They entered a massive hall, the Chamber of Oaths. Tall alien warriors lined the walls, all silent, watching. At the center, on a raised throne, sat an elder drawn, skin marked with silver tattoos, eyes glowing like stars. His name was High Warden Kravax, one of the oldest and most feared leaders of the drawn. Shari knelt. Leo stood frozen. "You kneel," Kravax said coldly, "or you die standing." Leo hesitated, then knelt slowly, but not in fear, in respect. The old warrior studied him. "You are the human who spared our soldier. You crossed into our realm. Why?" Leo looked him in the eye. "Because she saved me. And I trust her." Gasps echoed through the chamber. Kravax leaned forward. "Trust is a soft word, and soft things die here." Shari rose. "High Warden, I invoke the ancient right, the right of dead blood." Kravax's eyes narrowed. "You would bind your fate to a human. That law has not been spoken in 100 cycles." "I speak it now," she said. "He showed mercy when none was owed. He gave life where death was easy. I swear loyalty until my debt is paid." Kravax stood, his long robe brushing the ground. "Then let the trial begin." Leo blinked. "Wait, what trial?" Shari looked at him, calm but firm. "To make our bond legal in drawn law, you must pass a test." Leo frowned. "What kind of test?" She answered simply, "One that most do not survive." Later, deep beneath the ship, Leo stood in a circular stone chamber. Above him, the drawn watched from high ledges. Shari stood beside Kravax, her hands clenched. She could not help him now. A steel door opened. Out stepped a beast, large, four-armed, armored in bone, its eyes glowing red. "The trial is simple," Kravax announced. "Survive until the final bell, or die." Leo held a blade Shari had given him. It wasn't much, but it was sharp. The beast charged. Leo dodged, barely missing a claw that could split steel. He rolled, struck at the leg, and missed. For 10 minutes it was chaos. Sweat, blood, roars. Leo was quick, smarter than the beast. He used the walls, the floor, the shadows. He wasn't the strongest, but he was human, and humans had something else. Will. As the bell rang, Leo stood bloodied, gasping, but alive. The beast lay unconscious at his feet. The drawn stared in silence. Then they began to clap. Back in the chamber, Kravax stepped down from the throne. He faced Leo and Shari. "The right is complete. The bond is honored. The human has proven strength, courage, and honor." He turned to the others. Let it be known, the warrior Shari and the human Leo are now oath-bound. Their lives are joined. Her fate is his name is hers. Leo looked at Shari. What does this mean for us? She smiled, the first true smile he had ever seen from her. It means I am no longer just your protector, Leo. She stepped closer. I am your shield, your sword, your voice among my people. And you, she added, are now one of us. Later that night, in a quiet garden on the ship, Shari and Leo sat beneath glowing trees. The air smelled like warm spice. For once, there was no fear, no running. Do you regret it? She asked. Leo looked at the stars above. The trial, the war, trusting you. She nodded. He shook his head. No, I think this is what I was meant to do. Shari leaned back. We are not done. There are still many who want to stop this. Leo glanced at her. Then we keep fighting. Together. She looked at him with respect. You are not like other humans. He grinned. You keep saying that. She stood and offered her hand. Come, there is more to learn. As they walked deeper into the drawn vessel, no longer enemies, no longer strangers, a new chapter began. Not just between Leo and Shari, but for two civilizations. The betrayal from within. The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. On the edge of drawn space, stars blinked softly like distant eyes. Ships floated silently, and peace, for the first time in decades, was possible. But peace has enemies, and not all of them live on the battlefield. 3 days had passed since Leo completed the blood oath trial. He was now recognized not just as an ally, but as a blood-bonded brother among the drawn. He wore a simple armband made of braided silver and black cloth, Shari's clan colors. It was more than fabric. It was protection, and also a target. Shari walked beside him as they entered the great city of Veldranik, her home, her roots, the place where she had trained as a child. The towers rose like black spears into the purple sky, and the air smelled of heated stone and iron flowers. Drawn civilians paused as they saw them, a warrior of legend, walking with a human. Some bowed, some looked away, some stared with disgust. Shari noticed, they do not all accept you yet. Leo nodded. That's okay. I didn't come here to be liked. They walked in silence for a moment before Shari said softly, but I want you to be. Inside the council chamber, things were less peaceful. The High Warden Kravak stood at the head of a black table carved from a single starstone. Around him, 6 drawn counselors spoke in hushed, angry voices. This cannot continue, one said. A human walks among us with full rights. He passed the trial, another snapped. The laws are clear. But the old laws are dangerous, a third growled. They were made for our kind, not for outsiders. Kravax raised a hand. Enough. He is bound to one of our strongest warriors. If we dishonor that bond, we dishonor the code itself. A new voice echoed from the shadows. But what if the code is already broken? Heads turned. A figure stepped forward. His armor was sharp. His eyes burned with fire. His name was Raltor, and he was one of the Drawn's most feared commanders. I have seen weakness in this human, Raltor said. He has poisoned Shari's mind. She was a warrior. Now she plays politics with apes. Kravax frowned. Choose your next words wisely. I have, Raltor said coldly, and I bring proof. He raised a small device. A hologram appeared above it. It showed Leo speaking with a human in secret, a transmission sent days ago, encrypted and off-record. The council gasped. He contacts Earth without our permission, Raltor growled. He may be a spy. Kravax studied the image carefully. Bring them both in. That night, Shari woke suddenly. Her instincts screamed danger. Leo wasn't in the room. She stood quickly and ran to the hall, just in time to see guards dragging Leo through a side corridor. "Leo," she shouted. He was awake but cuffed. "It's okay," he called back. "Just a misunderstanding." But it wasn't. Shari chased them, pushing past warriors and guards, until she reached the council chamber. The doors shut in her face. She pounded on them. Inside, Leo stood before the council once more, now as an accused. Kravax's voice was cold. "Did you contact Earth without council approval?" Leo nodded. "Yes, but it wasn't a secret. I sent a message asking for peace talks. I thought." "You thought wrong," Raltor snapped. "You act without respect. You put us all in danger." Leo turned to Kravax. "Please. You know what this means. This was never about war. This is about change." Kravax sighed deeply. "You are brave, human, but some fear what they cannot control." He stood. "For now, you are confined, until we understand your true intentions." Leo was taken away. Outside the chamber, Shari waited, pacing like a caged beast. When Leo was escorted past her, she stepped into the guard's path. "You will not take him without blood." The guards froze. Leo whispered, "It's okay. Just give me time." Shari looked at him with fire in her eyes. "I am tired of giving time. Now, I will give truth." Later, in the Hall of Ancients, a sacred space where drawn warriors go to speak before the ancestors, Shari stood alone before the glowing wall of light. She wore full armor for the first time in years. She dropped to her knees and began to speak. "Elders of fire and stone, I call upon the right of Kameric, the trial of purity. I demand that the lies be burned and truth be shown." The wall pulsed. From behind her, footsteps approached. "Raltor, you dare call for the trial?" Shari stood. "Yes, if Leo is a traitor, then I will face the truth. But if you lie, you will face the fire." Raltor smiled coldly. "Then we shall see who burns." The next morning, the trial began. It was not a fight of fists or blades. It was a fight of memory. Each would step into the flame mirror, a device that pulled images from the soul. The truth, no matter how buried, would be seen by all. Raltor went first. His memory showed him watching Leo's message, then altering it, adding fake words, creating false fear. Gasps filled the chamber. The truth was clear. Raltor had betrayed his own people, just to stop peace. When Shari stepped out of the flame, she looked at Kravax and said, "Now, do you still doubt?" Kravax stood. "No." He turned to Raltor. "You are no longer drawn. You are ash." And with that, Raltor was taken away, not by soldiers, but by the very people he tried to control. That night, Leo and Shari stood on a balcony overlooking the glowing city. He smiled weakly. "So, I'm not a traitor anymore." Shari smirked. "You never were. But now the stars believe it too." He looked at her. "Do you think peace is actually possible?" She looked up at the stars. "Yes, but only if we protect it." Leo nodded. "Then let's protect it together." She touched the band on his arm. "Always." But in the distance, a shadow moved. One last enemy still watched. One last hand still waited to strike. The warrior queen and her human. The galaxy was watching. From the moons of Tyrannus to the floating cities of Earth, from human news feeds to drawn soul chambers, every corner of the stars had heard the name of Leo Carter, the human who showed mercy to a drawn warrior. And Shari, the warrior who gave her loyalty in return. They called it strange. They called it dangerous. But some began to call it hope, and that made them a threat. In the black void near Earth's outer orbit, a silent ship crept forward like a shark in still water. It was not a military ship. It had no flags. Inside it sat the last member of the secret group called the Purge Directive, those who believe humans and aliens should never mix. He wore a cold smile. His finger hovered over a button. In the ship's hold sat a bomb. Not just any bomb. a planet killer, programmed to detonate in orbit above Drawn Prime, Shari's homeworld. The plan was simple: destroy her people, frame the humans, and burn the bridge of peace forever. And no one would know who had done it, until it was too late. Back on Drawn Prime, Shari stood in full ceremonial armor on the steps of Unity, a mountain platform that looked over the capital city. She held no weapon today. Today, she held Leo's hand. It was the first public meeting of peace delegates, humans and Drawn, together on one stage. The people below watched in silence. Soldiers, elders, children, farmers, all gathered for history. Shari stepped forward. "I once believed all humans were my enemy," she said, voice steady, deep, and proud, "until one gave me water instead of death." Her eyes glanced at Leo. He didn't have to trust me, but he did, and that changed everything. Leo stepped forward next. "I was told all Drawn were monsters. I was wrong," he said, gripping the mic with shaking fingers. "Shari showed me something stronger than war. She showed me loyalty. And from her, I learned something I never thought I'd say in a war." He turned to her. "She became my best friend." The crowd stirred. Then something unexpected happened. Kravax, the High Warden, slowly walked to the stage. The crowd went silent. He raised a hand. "I once ruled with fire, but today I offer my voice to peace." He turned to Shari. "You have proven the code still has purpose, even with those we called enemies." Then to Leo. "And you, human, have earned your place among us." He knelt. The crowd gasped. Shari's voice cracked. "What are you doing?" Kravax stood again. "The old world needs new leaders. This is no longer a time for warlords." He placed his palm on Shari's shoulder. "It is time for queens." Then to Leo, "And for their protectors." Later that night, Shari and Leo stood at the edge of the Sky Temple, the stars stretching above like rivers of light. Shari turned to Leo. "They're calling me queen now." Leo laughed. "You've always been that. They just finally caught up." She smiled. "You stood beside me when I was nothing. Now I want you by my side. As everything changes." Leo stepped close. "Always." She touched his forehead gently. "Then kneel, human." He raised an eyebrow. "What now?" "I'm not asking you to kneel to me," she said with a grin. "I want you to kneel beside me, as my equal, as my bonded shield." Leo smiled. "That I can do." He knelt, and the stars seemed to blink brighter. But peace is never simple. Back in orbit, the silent ship activated its final sequence. Countdown. 5 o'clock. The bomb was armed. It would fall silently through the sky, light up the capital, and erase everything, until a single Drawn scout ship, scanning deep space, caught something strange. A heat signature, too sharp, too focused. Shari's communicator chirped. A young officer's voice screamed. "Something is coming. High heat, descending fast, above the capital." Shari turned to Leo. "That's not a meteor." Leo's eyes widened. "It's an attack." She grabbed his hand. "We need a ship. Now." In the skies above, Shari's fighter roared to life. Leo sat behind her, co-piloting for the first time. "Just so you know," he said, "I've only flown a simulator." She grinned. "Then don't touch anything." As they blasted into the atmosphere, the glowing object appeared. A metal pod, humming with energy. They scanned it. Leo's heart dropped. "This isn't a bomb from your world," he said. "This is ours." Shari's eyes narrowed. "Then the betrayal wasn't only against us, it was from your side." Leo felt rage boil inside. The purge directive. The timer ticked down. 0:56. "Can we stop it?" Shari asked. Leo scanned it. "Only one way." He looked at her. She saw the truth in his eyes. "No," she said. "I just got you back." "If it's me or a city," he whispered. Shari growled. "We both go." Leo blinked. "What?" "We push it together. Into the sun." Shari. "No. You said we protect each other. That starts now." In the final seconds, their ship slammed into the pod from the side. Leo pushed full thrust. Shari rerouted all power to shields. The bomb trembled. The heat rose. And slowly, the pod turned. It missed the city. It spun toward the star. They rode behind it, guiding it, yelling, sweating, burning. Then, flash. The sky lit with a sunburst. And the bomb was gone. Silence. Their ship floated, systems fried. Leo opened his eyes. Shari lay beside him, unconscious but alive. He smiled weakly. "Still here." Then the emergency radio crackled. "Shari, Leo, do you read? The city is safe. You did it." Days later, as repairs began, as people healed, as stars returned to being stars, a statue was built. 2 figures, one drawn, one human, standing back to back, eyes toward the future. Below it were only 3 words, carved into stone. Mercy changed everything.